Welcome everyone. How are you doing? Today's topic is worth billions of dollars and is among the world's most lucrative illegal businesses with narcotics, human trafficking, and weapons. It is the illegal trade of wildlife or wildlife trafficking. Today, two researchers are here to enlighten us more about wildlife trafficking. So stop, look, and listen to our experts. Let's welcome Dr. Arvin C. Jesmos of the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity and academician of the National Academy of Science and Technology, and Dr. Emerson Y.C. of the Philippine Center for Terrestrial and Aquatic Research and a consultant of TRAFFIC, the Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network.
Hello, Marian. Hello, everyone from the National Research Council of the Philippines.
Good day, Dr. Marian, Dr. Arvin, and to all listeners.
What is wildlife trade?
Wildlife trade is the selling, purchase, or exchange of wild animals, plants, and products made from them, either legally or illegally. Legal wildlife trade involves following the governing laws and regulations, and the primary objective is the sustainable and responsible trade of wildlife. On the other hand, illegal wildlife trade or wildlife trafficking is the unlawful trade, smuggling, poaching, overcollection, and capture of wild plants and animals, including those that are endangered, protected, and their derivatives.
Are these reports of the estimated value of wildlife trade?
The international trade of wildlife was roughly estimated at more than $400 billion annually. The illegal wildlife trade is even more difficult to estimate because of the nature of the trade. Values based on seizure data can only provide us with a minimum estimate since the detection of illegal wildlife trade is imperfect.
The issue of illegal wildlife trade has been going on for a while now. Why do you think more people are paying more attention to the illegal wildlife trade?
People used to think that resources are limitless. People began to see the negative impacts of illegal wildlife trade to species and nature. It was during the second half of the 1900s when international organizations were formed to ensure the survival of wildlife.
To add to that, with the help of the media, people learned about the increasing demand for wildlife and wildlife products. And this caused a great decline in a number of species and even threats of extinctions for species like elephants, rhinoceros, and the pangolins. Disease outbreaks such as the MERS-CoV, SARS-CoV-2, which is the cause of the current COVID-19 pandemic, Ebola, avian flu, and the swine flu actually emerged from pathogens that are found in wild animals. And this only shows that under-regulated and illegal wildlife trade must be taken seriously.
Our experts, Dr. Arvin and Dr. Emmer, emphasized that there is a need to take the issue on illegal wildlife trade seriously. With the current and recent pandemic brought by SARS-CoV-2, an agent which was traced to have come from wild animals, and with the awareness of the threats that illegal wildlife trade brought us, what measures or regulations were done by international and local sectors that protect our wildlife?
Since 1975, the international trade of endangered species has been regulated by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES. Species are listed in 3 appendices based on their extinction risk. In Appendix 1, commercial trade of wild-caught species are not allowed, while species listed in Appendix 2 or 3 require permits for international trade. In the Philippines, the main legislation for wildlife protection is the Wildlife Conservation and Protection Act of 2001. This law regulates the hunting, collection, possession, transportation, importation, and trading of wild animals and plants in the country.
Are there limitations or extent to the wildlife involved in illegal wildlife trade?
Well, in different countries with rich biodiversity, there have been numerous poaching reports of endemic species. However, the trade is not limited to those that are threatened or more charismatic species. It ranges from all kinds of wild animals and plants.
Here in the Philippines, what animals or plants are being illegally traded? What are the most common Philippine endemics being illegally traded?
The Palawan hill myna, Lunay parrots, and numerous reptiles are traded as pets. Wild animals such as wild boar, jungle fowl, deer, monitor lizards, sea turtles are poached and traded illegally as wild meat. Aside from wild animals, many wild plants are sought after as well.
So far, what are the worst effects of wildlife trafficking globally, environmentally, and economically?
The wildlife trade not only threatens the survival of many species, but also contributes to the transmission of zoonotic diseases. For instance, the novel coronavirus is suspected to be from wild bats that eventually infected humans. This will not happen if viruses that may be detrimental to humans remain within their host. Under-regulated and illegal wildlife trade increase the chances of zoonotic diseases. The negative effects of wildlife trade is illustrated well by the ongoing pandemic. Aside from the global economic disruption, the pandemic resulted in more than 4.5 million human deaths.
Wildlife trafficking is a major contributor to biodiversity loss, and it can cause massive declines in populations of targeted species and imbalance to the ecology of communities and ecosystems. In marine ecosystems, for example, the collection of sharks for their fins may lead to the declines in shark populations. In the absence of an apex predator like sharks are, populations of some fishes may significantly increase or explode, and this will affect the entire food chain and may alter ecosystems. In forest ecosystems, the illegal collection of birds, turtles, or fruit bats, especially those that are seed dispersers, will lead to declines in some species of palms and trees, thereby altering the entire forest ecosystem as well.
That was quite bothersome to notice. With this information, what should we do if we happen to witness or know of an illegal wildlife trade?
You can report suspected incidents of illegal wildlife trade or wildlife trafficking to the Biodiversity Management Bureau of the DNR and to the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development in Palawan.
The public has to play a greater role in protecting our wildlife. We have to be conscientious on products we patronize and ensure that we are not contributing to the problem.
Can you suggest practical ways we can do to protect our wildlife and prevent wildlife trafficking?
I think it's very important to raise public awareness of this subject, and let's also teach others what we know and what we can do. And this is quite a good example of citizen science.
When you suspect wildlife are being traded illegally, please get in touch with wildlife authorities so they can conduct an investigation.
To you all, how would you protect our wildlife and prevent wildlife trafficking? You may type in your answers in the chat box for Zoom and in the comment section for our FB viewers. Dr. Arvin and Dr. Emmer, what would the Philippines and the world look like if we are successful in protecting our wildlife?
In an ideal world, different ecosystems are in pristine condition and wildlife are thriving along with humans. Everyone should advocate for the protection and conservation of nature because it will benefit humankind in the long run.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arvin Jesmos and Dr. Emerson C., for joining us today. And I hope that our listeners got a lot of take-home from you. Out of the few mega biodiverse countries in the world, the Philippines is one of them, covering about 75% of Earth's biodiversity, with a great number of species that can only be found in the country, with at least 25 endemic plant genera and 49% of terrestrial wildlife, while ranking 4th in bird endemism, with at least 700 threatened species of plants and animals, a great responsibility of protecting our natural resources. Thank you very much, and we all hope you learned a lot about our discussion. From the NRCP Division 5, this is Marian.
Tess.
Dale.
Tads.
Francis Onbanwa.
Melanie.
Kiko.
O'Neill.
It's been our pleasure to be with you today in this experts class.